Increased intuition is what we're shooting for here. And the reason we shoot for increased intuition is that that is your natural state. Your natural state is to be so deeply connected that you simply know everything without knowing how or why. That place, though, can be difficult to find and is impossible to find when we believe in somehow, some way that we or something else are not good enough. The reason is that not good enough creates debate. That is what ego does. Ego debates intuition. And that debate is what prevents change. Now, your ego screams. Your ego has to be heard. It does not want to give you a choice. Your intuition, on the other hand, whispers. Your intuition does not care if you hear it or not. It leaves it up to you completely. That is how you tell the difference. Your intuition whispers and your ego screams. And it might not scream every single time. However, it is emphatic and it pretty much demands that you listen. Intuition can come in many forms. And the name of this training is Your Body Never Lies. And it's true, your body does not lie. And it's the first way that you can tune into your intuition is simply by paying attention to your body. Notice what you feel. If you meet somebody and they start talking to you and you start to feel happy and excited, that's a good indication that maybe you should hang out with them more and become friends. If you meet somebody, though, and they make you feel small and contracted and you don't know what that feeling is, that's a good indication that you probably shouldn't spend time with that person, right? That is your body telling you, it's tuning into your environment and it's telling you or giving you information about what is going on. If your feelings are that you just don't feel good around a person, that's the truth, right? You don't feel good around that person, right? I mean, you can't get more true than that. And if you've been abused in the past, if you're addicted to abuse, if that's part of your life trajectory so far, then ego is going to debate with you and say, oh, you just feel bad because you don't know what you're feeling. Or maybe ego trusts feeling bad, right? Maybe that feeling of being small or unworthy is what ego trusts. And so ego will debate the intuition, telling you to stay away from that situation or person. And ego will get you to dive into that situation or person to reinforce the personal lie. Knowing when that is happening is key to uncovering intuition, because intuition is constantly attempting to give you information. And at some point, you will have to discontinue the debate. Just discontinue debating and listen to intuition and see what it has to say. When I first started listening to my intuition, I thought it was crazy. I was laying in bed napping one hot afternoon, and all of a sudden in my mind, I'm being told to go down to this bookstore a few blocks away, because there was somebody there wanting to meet me. And that's crazy. But you know what? I thought, I'm doing intuition training. I should just follow it and see what happens. And so I walked down to the bookstore. And you know what? As soon as I got there, I ran into this girl that I had met a week before and earlier had been thinking about wondering when I would see her again. And turned out she had been thinking the same thing. So, intuition delivered. Like, I didn't know what I was up for or getting into, but that was one of the first experiences I had of really hearing my intuition, and instead of debating it or telling myself I was crazy or ignoring that quiet voice in my head, I just followed it. And you know what? I got results. This work, there's an aspect to it where you learn to discontinue interacting with ego so much or listening to ego so much. And that is, that's something you get to stop doing. But then there's this other thing that you get to start doing, and that is listening to that whisper. And that whisper will test you. That whisper will give you nonsense. That whisper will try all kinds of things to make sure that you're worthy. It will interact with ego and just to make sure that you're good enough to actually hear what it's actually saying. But whatever's going on there, don't even worry about it. Just whatever whisper you hear, follow it. See what happens. And, don't get yourself in any danger. And increasing your intuition starts by discontinuing debate, and it starts when you actually take a step toward it. Because intuition, your whole life has been taking steps toward you. Little whispers that you ignore. And then afterwards you're like, oh, why did I ignore that? Well, you ignored it because your ego was debating it, because how could it be good enough to get this information out of the blue, right? Just let the information come and follow it, see what happens. Yeah, you're going to stumble. Yeah, sometimes it isn't going to work out. And sometimes it'll work out perfectly. And you get to repeat, right? Remember, your body trusts repetition. That means you get to repeat listening to your intuition. And as you do, that whispering voice, it might not get louder, but it'll start talking a lot more, and it'll start making a lot more sense. And when it starts to really make sense, that's when intuition gets really fun. So intuition, right? It's that whispering voice that's telling us what's going on in our environment. Ego is it's the loud voice that has to be heard, right? It's emphatic. It needs you to listen to it. Take a breath. If it really had strength, it wouldn't care so much about you listening. It only has strength because you listen to it. So just stop. That's it. Start listening to intuition instead. And then we're going to start playing in some really fun ways. So thank you. This is getting good.